We're back in the studio today and I'm going to be talking about vinyl records or just records or whatever it is that you refer to them as. I know that people call them different things, but I've got a small collection and I've got some plans with them over the next couple of months. And yeah, just thought I'd talk a little bit about what I've got in my collection, what I'm planning to do, and some of the equipment that I use to play it as well. So a few things to talk about, just a bit of a natter today really. I'd love to know in the comments below how many of you guys use records, and do you exclusively use records or do you mix between digital and records, or maybe you sample from cassette or CD. I have done some sampling from cassette before, but yeah, pop it in the comments below. I'd love to get an idea of what the community is up to. And yeah, let's get down to the corner and we can have a little look at my collection and take it from there. So here we are down at the collection. Just before we start, guys, I want to say thank you to everyone that's listened to my new EP. If you haven't seen my last video, I've got a short EP out on SoundCloud. There's a link in the description if you wanted to check it out. I think it's had over 200 plays already and loads of comments and likes, so thank you so much for checking that out. It's great to release some music again, and I'll definitely continue to try and get some out. It's not always easy for me, depends what time I have in my free time away from the channel, which is very little anyway. But yeah, hopefully this is the start of a bit more momentum with releasing music. I've already been working on some new stuff since the release of that, so I'm on a bit of a roll at the moment, and yeah, looking forward to sharing those ideas as well, because I'm already starting to see a little bit of progress compared to what I've just released. So yeah, really feeling it at the moment with the beat making stuff, so hopefully there'll be more on the way. So this is my collection of vinyl here. It's not particularly big, and I've kind of decided to myself that this is as big as I want things to go. You can probably just see here that there's still a little bit of space left that I can fit some more in, and I've basically decided that if this ever gets full, what I'll do is use this as a kind of swap shop. So if I want more, some of it has to go. And I think that's quite a good policy. I don't want my record collection getting out of control. It's one of those things that you can just go mad with if you wanted to. But yeah, I just want to try and keep mine to a minimum. Records take up quite a lot of space and they're super heavy as well. So I'm limiting myself to this much. And I think, to be honest, that's probably a good thing, so I don't get carried away with it. So that's the size of my collection. It's not huge. I think here I've got probably about 50 records, 60 records maybe. And I just thought I'd go through some of them and kind of talk about why I pick them when I'm in a record shop. So a lot of them really are based on the covers, so I'll try and find some that are good. These are ones that I want to talk about later. So here's a really good example, this Sergio Mendes one. It's just a very strong cover, so immediately that's going to attract my attention. I really love the cover of this one. And foreign music as well for me is obviously a big draw. It's good to get some different vibes on the turntable. So yeah, this says it's a delicate mix of piano jazz, subtle Latin nuances. So it gives you some information on the back of this one as well. So yeah, I definitely would have picked this based on the cover and the fact that it's kind of foreign music as well. That's always a plus for me. Another good example of an absolutely solid 10 out of 10 cover. I don't think there's actually that much on this one, unfortunately. I wish there was, but this one's actually signed on the back, and I assume that's the artist, so someone got this signed back in the day. Unfortunately, it ended up in a charity shop, but yeah, really strong cover on the front, and the back's a great picture as well. Love that one. I don't know if there's much on it, but even just having it lying around is really cool. This is another type of record that I tend to try and look for quite a lot, and that is female vocalists. So this one is Timmy. Great performances. It's a bold claim, but I'm sure they are. I've had a lot of success in the past with records featuring female vocalists like this. They tend to usually always have one or two songs that don't have any drums or percussion. They tend to have a lot of ballady songs on them, which are great for sampling. I don't know if I've just got lucky with the records that I've got, but I usually tend to find that that is the case with these kinds of records. Same probably applies to male vocalists as well, if you can find those. So it's always worth seeking these out and seeing if you can find any heat on these. I've got quite a few female vocal records. Very strong cover on this one, if not a little bit intimidating. This one's a really cool cover. I love the picture on this one. And then the one on the back as well. Also really, really strong, really hard lighting on there. That's Juice Newton. But yeah, maybe I've got lucky in the past, I don't know, but I tend to find there's usually one or two samples on female vocal records. So yeah, there's something that I look out for a lot, but basically a lot of the time it's either something that's interesting or has a good cover. This one's a classical one that I picked up, so there's probably going to be some pretty cool and dark sounding samples on that one. This was one that really attracted my attention. Live at the Sahara in Las Vegas, there's bound to be something on there that can be sampled. If it's not music, then maybe her talking in between tracks or banter with the crowd, stuff like that. I'm sure there's some gems on this one. I actually need to give a lot of these records a proper listen. And then apart from that, obviously the soul vibes. I like sampling a lot of soul music, so stuff like the 3 Degrees I've got here. We've got Gladys Knight and the Pips. Really solid photo on the back there of the band. Rolls Royce, I've sampled this years ago. I need to give this one another go. I'm sure there's some heat on this one. But the vinyl's actually missing out of this at the moment, so I'll have to find that. It's probably buried in the other one somewhere. So yeah, that's another obvious genre that I dig through is soul and then jazz as well. On top of that, there's some kind of specialty vinyls that I've picked up over the years. Shaolin Sounds, this is a really cool one. This is something that has a lot of stuff from Wu-Tang tracks on it. Shaolin shadow boxing, samples and all that. They're all kind of on here. There's some drum breaks as well. Plenty of cool stuff to be sampling on this one. I've used that quite a few times in the past. Then I've got some which are kind of just like break records like this one. I love the artwork on this one. This one's called Bionic Booger Beats. And I think these are intended really for DJs, but you can take the breaks and sample them, obviously, and use them in your own beats as well. Really like this cover. The back of it's pretty cool as well, all kind of hand-drawn in this sort of graffiti style. And another one that I've got like that, which I'm pretty sure quite a few people will have, is this Crunchy Breaks one. I was doing a lot of research around records with breaks in them at this time, and this was one that kept popping up. So I think I picked this one up off Discogs. It was quite hard to get here in the UK, so I bought it online instead. Really good stuff on there, loads of cool breaks to sample, a lot like the last one which we just looked at. And this one is something that I think a few of you have said you've got as well. Super Duck Breaks. Again, another break-based record, probably for DJs, but really good to dig out now and again and use on your beats. Some cool artwork on the back of that one as well. Quite a good mix of stuff. I've got a lot of female vocalist stuff, quite a bit of soul stuff, and then that speciality stuff as well, and then just loads of random things with good covers. So there's quite a few there that I need to make my way through and give a proper listen. And my plan with this collection is for one of my releases in the near future to be all samples from this collection. I think that'll be a really fun project. And sampling from vinyl just sounds great as well. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. So spoken a little bit about my collection there. Hopefully there'll be a project with that coming very soon. Let's go and have a look at some of the gear that I use to play these records and grab samples from them. Okay, so equipment wise with the turntable, I keep things very simple and I've just got a PTO1 Scratch. So this is the kind of turntable that you kind of get what you pay for. They're really inexpensive. Out the box it doesn't sound that great, but I've got plenty of samplers like the SP303, the 404 Mark II. I've got my analog heat. I can do a lot of treatment on the records that are played on this and get them to sound a lot warmer and a lot nicer. It's a little bit tinny, and yeah, the stylus isn't great that comes with it. A lot of people do upgrade these themselves and do their own customizations. I think a stylus would definitely be something I'd consider getting for this in the near future if I start sampling records a little bit more. But the thing I like about this is that it's just really nice and compact. So a 12-inch record kind of hangs over the edge. You can see it's really just made for 45s. You can play both, but yeah, I love the fact that it's nice and compact. It doesn't need an amp either, which is a huge bonus for me. I don't have a lot of room where I live or in this studio, so I can take a signal straight out of this thing, straight into the back of an SP or analog heat, anything like that. And then it's also got USB as well, you can see here. So I believe that you should just be able to go straight into your computer via that cable as well. So if you're someone that works in a DAW but you still want to sample records, this can do the job for you. It's really low cost. And yeah, that's all I really need for my vinyl collection. I think anything else really is overkill when you're sampling, because you end up doing that much manipulation to the samples anyway that it doesn't really matter about quality all that much. So you don't really need to be going spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds on a turntable. Something like this should do a decent enough job for you. Interestingly, this can be powered off batteries as well, so if you ever needed to be portable with it, you could take that along with you. It's got a grab handle at some point, I think it's over there as well. There are a couple of controls that you can use. There's pitching and there's like a tone dial as well, so you can do a little bit of manipulation with it, but not a great deal. So yeah, that's all I use for sampling records. Nice and simple, really compact, low cost, and it does exactly what I need it to do, so there's not really need for anything else. So there we go, those are my records. Those are some of the things that I like to collect. Female vocals, soul and jazz, and then specialty records as well with like breaks, effects, those kinds of things. They're really good fun too. I'm really looking forward to this vinyl record project. I can't wait to sit down and actually listen through some of those records and find samples. There is something really magical about finding samples from records. It just kind of hits different compared to digging through digital music. But the practicalities of owning a lot of vinyl, it's really difficult, especially for me in such a small house. So yeah, small vinyl collection's nice. And like I mentioned, that's going to become a kind of a swap shop if I did want to change up my collection at any point. Don't forget to check out my EP, that'll be really greatly appreciated. And thank you all for your support again, it really does mean a lot, all the positive comments and everything. Definitely cheers me up and keeps me going, so keep them coming, that'll be absolutely great. Shout out to all my members, keep making beats, and I'll be back again with another video very, very soon.